Hello, my name is Matthias, and welcome to the FPL Scope and this video where I'm going to talk about whether you should use your chips or not in Game Week 5. I'm going to talk mostly about the free hit and whether you should use that. I'm going to touch upon the wildcard and talk about why I don't think it's the best idea to wildcard this game week. Also going to talk slightly about triple captain and bench boost as well. But first and foremost, the free hit in Game Week 5, should you use it or not? I think it's very much dependent on your team, as always with all chips really. But especially in Game Week 5, I think there's like very few certain circumstances where the free hit chip is viable really. And I do have actually an example for you, and I also have a free hit team that I'm going to show you for what I would go for Game Week 5 currently as it stands right now. But there are a lot of fixtures going to happen during midweek. There's going to be Champions League matches. There's going to be some League Cup matches as well this week. During Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I would advise any one of you guys to just stay firm and wait until you do either transfers or activate chips really this week, because there's going to be a lot of changes depending on what happens going forward. But yeah, when it comes to the free hit, let's just go through the pros and cons, like reasons to free hit and reasons not to free hit really. Reasons to free hit. If you lack players from Chelsea, Liverpool, Palace, and Fulham specifically, they have pretty favorable fixtures at least this game week. But like I've written in the cons, there's not that many super exciting fixtures, like Chelsea away to Man United, Liverpool at home to Everton, Palace away to West Ham, and Fulham at home to Brentford is like the best you can conjure up here. And that's mostly down to the fact that there's a lot of bad teams facing each other, and there's also specifically two really good teams facing each other in Arsenal and Man City, and those are the two teams that you would most likely want players from going forward. And that's why I think the wildcard is kind of like not ideal for this game week. We can actually talk about the wildcard right now in the middle of the free hit. But yeah, looking at the fixtures here, you can see Arsenal and City, they don't have the best Game Week 5 fixture. You don't really want to load up on them for Game Week 5, but from Game Week 6 and beyond, they have really good matches, especially Arsenal after Game Week 10. Also, they have really nice matches up until like Game Week 13. So they are a team to really target now. But with Man City and then Newcastle, it's not the ideal time to wildcard. Wildcarding in Game Week 6, I think, is a better idea because, yeah, while you still get Arsenal players against Newcastle in the first game, that's still a decent chance for a clean sheet at least. And then after that, you have some really nice enticing fixtures. So yeah, it's easier to load up on Arsenal players when they don't have too many bad matches. Same with Man City. Like a lot of people will want Haaland now because he scored 2 goals against Man United and looked really, really good. But Arsenal away is the toughest fixture of the season, so you don't really want to load up on him or get him and any other City assets really either. So there are a couple instances like that. Man United are also a team that have like better fixtures ahead after a really tough start to the season. But Chelsea at home is, again, not the best time to jump on Man United players. So yeah, there's a lot of these instances. You also have teams like Fulham and Nottingham Forest, for example, and Crystal Palace, who have good fixtures now immediately. Aston Villa as well with Sunderland is like a decent fixture. They have good fixtures immediately, but then long term, not the best fixtures either. So yeah, I think it's just an awkward game week to wildcard in because you don't really get the best fixtures straight away if you want the ideal long term picks like from the Manchester City and Arsenal and potentially Chelsea players as well, who have like Man United away. It's a nice fixture for a free hit. I would target them still, but like Brighton, Man United, and Liverpool in the next 3, not ideal fixtures, even though they would be expected to win maybe the first 2 and then struggle against Liverpool. But yeah, you'd ideally want to wait a bit more to load up on Chelsea as well. The Game Week 8 and Game Week 9 is the right time to jump on Chelsea players really. So yeah, I think it's better to just wait it out. I know you've probably had a frustrating time if you're watching this video. The first 3 game weeks, you are probably looking forward to potentially use a chip, but I think actually the free hit chip is a better use of your chips regardless. Even if you are planning on wildcarding in Game Week 6, as I've written there as the final pro there, nice bridge to a wildcard in Game Week 6 because, yeah, like I said, if you are looking to get a whole new team in, I think the best long-term team just doesn't have the best fixtures in this game week. So yeah, free hitting in Game Week 5 and then wildcarding in Game Week 6 is a viable strategy. Just like I said last week before Game Week 4, I said if you're wildcarding in Game Week 4, you can actually free hit in Game Week 5 and have like a good long-term team that way as well. But yeah, going back to the free hit again, like I mentioned, Chelsea still have like probably the best potential fixture. Man United are in a bit of disarray currently, and they are also a team that are expected to attack, so they're not going to sit back. Like the newly promoted sides have actually been really good defensively, so it doesn't really look that good to target them either. So it's more like the likes of Brentford, West Ham, Man United, these teams that are pretty bad defensively, but they still are expected to go forward and actually attack and produce nice matches really, or play good football really. So these are more likely the teams you want to target currently, but yeah, it is not ideal. There's not that many exciting fixtures really, and that's one of the cons here. One of the main things I think for free hit is the fact that you don't really have, in a lot of instances, if you don't have Salah for example, you don't really have any like standout captaincy options. I think Chelsea players are actually potentially the best captaincy options there. Joao Pedro and Palmer are decent options if you don't want to go with Salah. You feel like he has just been not delivering so far this season. I think the Chelsea assets are probably the way I would lean towards. Hold on against Man City or against Arsenal, I think is a no-go. Any Arsenal player against Man City, don't really like that either. Spurs players, I don't really think they have many good attacking assets anyway. And away to Brighton, that's a tough fixture. So yeah, there are some really popular players that you might have that have a tricky fixture, and that I think that's like the main thing for you to choose whether you want to free hit or not. If you have a lot of players from Arsenal, from City, from Man United, from Brighton, Spurs, Everton, these teams that I have written down with red as teams to avoid this game week, if you have a lot of players from these teams but you have a pretty solid team regardless, for the long term, then free hitting Game Week 5 could be a good idea, especially if you don't have like a good captaincy option. If you go with Haaland from the start of the season, you don't even have Salah, he could be a nice option, or one of the Chelsea guys like I mentioned. Another potential pro, if you have like a good team, you have some like short-term injuries, if you have Sarr still in your team, if you have Strand Larsen still in your team on the bench, these guys are soon to be back. Saliba, Cunha as well, Murillo, all these guys are like doubtful. Sarr is going to miss out for Game Week 5 at least. But the other guys are like doubtful for Game Week 5, and you give them another week to come back into the team if you have like two of these guys, Sarr, Strand Larsen, Saliba, Cunha, Murillo. These guys are like decent picks long term. Murillo could be maybe not the best pick long term, but if he's back for Game Week 6, you would want him for Game Week 6 potentially. Anyways, if you still have him. So yeah, if you have two of these couple players, maybe a free hit and then getting them back for a nice Game Week 6 could also be a good idea, or long term in general. With Strand Larsen, for example, who has really good fixtures in Game Week 8 and 9 or 7 and 8. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but yeah. When it comes to the cons, you also have some players like, for example, the Aston Villa players, Watkins and Rodgers. You have Wirtz playing against Everton at home. These players are so frustrating, and that's probably the reason why you want to use a chip to like sort of get rid of them. But there is also some slight danger with that, since they still have like a decent fixture, at least like they could potentially bang and get a lot of points this game week, especially the Aston Villa guys. So yeah, it is like a slight risk. There's always a risk with a free hit that you will pick out a team that is worse than your actual team that you had before you free hit it. That's going to be the case sometimes with a free hit in a single game week, which you'll get in FPL this season with the first half chips. So yeah, you could lose out because they do have like a pretty enticing fixture. At least like preseason, I would expect Aston Villa to beat Sunderland, but now away to Sunderland, which has been a tough fixture so far, Stadium of Light. And Aston Villa have been so bad, I'm not sure if that's the best fixture, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too comfortable with getting rid of them for one game week and then still having them in my squad in Game Week 6. Anyways, but yeah, you also kind of like lose the transfer. That will always be the case with a free hit. If you have 2 free transfers now, and you use your free hit, you'll still have 2 free transfers in Game Week 6. But if you have 2 free transfers now and you don't use any transfers, you get 3 transfers in Game Week 6. So you do technically lose a transfer. That's always going to be the case with the free hit. But at the same time, this is early in the season. Transfers are more valuable now. You don't really have as many of them. You haven't had the chance to load up on as many transfers as you can do later on in the season. And the sooner or the closer you get to Game Week 16, you'll also get more transfers. You'll get topped up to 5 transfers in Game Week 16. So it's more of an issue to sort of not gain that extra transfer now as compared to later on in the first half of the season. Also, it doesn't solve any long-term issues. If you have the likes of Rodgers, Watkins, Wirtz who you want to get rid of, if you're not planning to wildcard in Game Week 6, if you're still looking to wildcard in Game Week 13, for example, like me, then using a free hit won't really do you much good because you'll have those players back again who you want to get rid of immediately. So yeah, that's sort of the same as don't lose a transfer, because yeah, you want to use, if you have transfers now, you want to use them on players that you want to remove long term really. And yeah, there's also several other game weeks to good game weeks to free hit. So this might not be the ideal game week for you to free hit, but there are other really good options. Like I mentioned, if you are looking to wildcard in Game Week 13, then I think Game Week 14 is actually a really good game week to free hit, because on Game Week 13 wildcard, you're most likely going to load up on really expensive Man City and Liverpool players, but then the next following Game Week 14, both Chelsea and Arsenal have really good fixtures where you want some assets from them as well. So I think Game Week 14 is probably my ideal free hit window if you're wildcarding in Game Week 13 especially, but there are also some other good options as well. So yeah, that will always be the case with the free hit. So yeah, that's pretty much it for like the pros and cons of the free hit. But let's take it into action. Let's look at a team that is actually a team where I would probably advise to use a free hit, and then I'm finally going to show you the free hit team that I have for Game Week 5. If you already have activated the button, or if you're wondering about it, I'll show you like my suggestion for a free hit in Game Week 5 as well. But first and foremost, let's go to the manager of the week actually from the FPL Scope Mini League. Mohamed Abdur Rahman, he got the most points this past game week. You can see from the team here: Van Dijk, Gabriel, Semenyo, Haaland, captain, Doku, like Van de Ven. This manager got a lot of points last game week, but for this game week, the team is not looking as good. 3 City players against Arsenal away, not ideal. Donnarumma, Doku, and Haaland. They could do well, but it is still like probably the toughest fixture that they will get apart from Liverpool away this season. You also still have a Man City or an Arsenal defender there, Gabriel, against Man City, so you're not going to get that many points from them really. You'll have 2 Spurs players against Brighton away, not the ideal fixture. Spurs have really good fixtures for the long term, but for this fixture or this game week, not ideal to face Brighton away. That is a tough team who usually do pretty well against the big 6 sides anyways. So yeah, you do have triple Liverpool in this team. But again, I don't think it's the ideal triple up of Liverpool players. Isak is coming into the team now. He is going to take some minutes away from Ekitike most likely. Ekitike has been the one to be subbed off early in most games. Wirtz has not been performing. There's no Salah in here. Van Dijk is nice, of course. And I also like Semenyo on this team. And Richards is someone that I would potentially consider. But again, West Ham away is not like ideal for a defender, I guess. But yeah, it's not the worst for Richards either, but you could also go for someone like Munoz or Lacroix if you want a Palace defender anyway, so he's not even the ideal pick from that team. You can see on the bench as well, NDI against Liverpool away, that's not someone to sub on. Hoover is not even playing, Mark Guiu is not even playing, so this team has like some issues for this game week. I think long term, this team is looking pretty good with 2 Spurs players. They're going to have really nice fixtures from Game Week 6 onwards. You have the triple up on City already, ready for Game Week 6. You have Gabriel already, ready for Game Week 6. You have Van Dijk, who's going to be still decent. This team is pretty good for the foreseeable future. But for Game Week 5, I don't think it is ideal. I think you can do a lot better if you do free hit. So I would actually advise a free hit in this instance. And this is someone that has done really well so far this season. Someone that got, 100 points, I think, actually 100 points last game week. So yeah, this is someone that has been really successful so far, but they just don't have the best team for Game Week 5 specifically. And that is like one of the few instances where I think a free hit in Game Week 5 would be ideal. I did mention that I would talk about bench boost and triple captain as well. I was going to do that in the first section actually, but I forgot about it. That's how it goes when you do one take videos like I do. But anyways, when it comes to triple captain, this is not the ideal game week to triple captain at all, because as you can see, the fixtures just aren't that good with Arsenal and Man City playing each other. Liverpool having a tricky fixture as well, like the best captaincy options don't really have the best fixtures. You have like Palmer or Joe Pedro against Man United, but it's still away at Old Trafford. That's not really ideal either. So triple captain, you can definitely wait to use, and especially this manager with Haaland already in the team. Burnley at home in Game Week 6 looks like a really good option. Haaland has some really nice fixtures across the whole first half of the season, and you can just really pick whatever game week you want to use him in there, because he's going to be a good option for all 3. But you can also go with some differential. So I think like triple captain, this is not the ideal game week to do it, because you don't really have the best like super good fixtures like I mentioned previously in the video. Bench boost, this is actually a really popular game week for bench boost, and I think that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you because there's not that really that many good fixtures. You would imagine that like an ideal bench boost would have like 15 players with awesome fixtures, but that is pretty unrealistic. Like you're never really going to get that. It's going to be really difficult to get to, and you would probably just hamper your team long term, or like with the game weeks before and after the bench boost if you want to have like the perfect like 15 players with ideal fixtures type of thing. But I think this is more interesting for bench boost because you have maybe a couple City players, maybe have some Arsenal players that you don't really want to bench either. Like for me, for example, I have Gabriel in my team, and I'm gonna play him because he can get a clean sheet in any game, he can get a goal in any game. I don't really feel comfortable with benching him. But yeah, if you have those players, you could bench them. Like Reinders, for example, is someone that I would bench this game week, but at the same time, he could score against Arsenal. Like it's not beyond a reasonable doubt that he can score. So yeah, you have like a lot of like even players, and I think that's basically the ideal time to bench boost. When you have like benching dilemmas, really, you don't really know who to bench. You might as well just hedge your bets and use the bench boost and just get points regardless. You're not going to miss out. You're not going to select the wrong player. So I do get it for the free hit or the bench boost. Also, you have Burnley playing against Nottingham Forest at home to Nottingham Forest now for Burnley. I think that's a decent fixture for a bench boost. Even the Sunderland players against Aston Villa, who haven't scored yet, they could also be good. So there's a lot of like cheap options. Leeds are playing Wolves. So a lot of these cheap, newly promoted teams who are looking pretty good defensively, you would normally bench them, but I think they are pretty good for the bench boost, all three teams really, because they could keep a clean sheet, all of them. And again, bench boost is like kind of random. Like me, I used the bench boost in game week 4 to not the best point total really, but it could have been like a decent bench boost if Dubravka kept a clean sheet against Liverpool, which almost happened, but was really unlikely before I used the bench boost. That was not the reason I used the bench boost, but that was sort of one of the main reasons that it could have worked out in the end, but it didn't because of that late penalty. That got me points for Salah as my captain, but it also removed the 10 points I think Dubravka would have gotten from that. So yeah, kind of unhappy to see that happen in general. But yeah, bench boost, don't really like it that much. I've talked about it too much now actually for how little I like it. Again, it failed me because yeah, it is just a single game week and anything can happen in a single game week. That's sort of the tricky thing with both the free hit and the bench boost, and why I don't think those chips are like going to get you that many points extra in the game week that you use them. But the free hit, I think, is a good, like in this instance, is a good way to bridge between two game weeks where you have a really nice game week 4, like this manager had with 100 points, really nice game week 6 and beyond, but game week 5 is looking pretty bad. That's the ideal time to use the free hit, I think. So that's why I think this manager should use a free hit. And I did also promise you guys to show you my current free hit drafts. And this is what I have currently for Game Week 5 free hit. I'm going to update this in the team selection video on Friday, where I make my selections for my own team as well. I'll have more information after all the Champions League and Europa League and Conference League and League Cup games, all those games that a lot of teams are playing in once they are finished, because we don't really know. There could be injuries, there could be players presenting themselves. Maybe Isak looks amazing all of a sudden and is ready to play. Who knows really? So there's a lot of things that will happen before the deadline really. So I'm going to have an updated free hit team for you guys in the team section video for Game Week 5. But I'm also going to show you like what you can get if you are currently wondering if you should use your free hit chip or not really. When it comes to goalkeepers, like I mentioned, we have some really nice options from the newly promoted sides. Carl Darlow had a really good match against Fulham, just conceded like a really late goal because of a Goodmanson own goal. It was really silly own goal. But Darlow looked really good, and he's going to be nailed on to play in Game Week 5 also because Lucas Perry is going to be out for that game week as well. And you also have Dubravka on the bench just in case against Nottingham Forest at home. A lot of people are bench boosting with him for good reason, because he has a decent chance of getting a clean sheet against a Nottingham Forest side that have struggled to score lately. So pretty good goalkeeping player for only 8 million in total. I think that's a good sign as well for this game week. In defense, I've actually gone with the triple Liverpool here as well against Everton at home. It's not the easiest fixture. Everton have been really good so far. They're going to be up for it in the Merseyside derby. But I still think Liverpool players are like, it is currently the top team in the Premier League. They have 12 points out of 12, and they're good for a reason. Van Dijk has been a good asset all season. Salah is still a good asset, and Gakpo has played 90 minutes every single game. So I think they are all viable picks. But Van Dijk, especially, another player like Gabriel Magalhaes, who can get a clean sheet in any game. He can get a goal in any game. He can even get defcons in any game. So yeah, Van Dijk is still a really good pick for this game week, where there aren't that many good outstanding teams to target really. So Van Dijk is a pretty safe option there, I think. Cucurella got a rest now in Game Week 4. I think he's going to be for certainly back in Game Week 5. He came on at the half for Chelsea, so clearly they missed him. He is one of their best players, so I think he is a pretty good option against Man United this game week as well. Joachim Andersen, he has been amazing for defensive contribution points. Brentford have not looked the best, have struggled to score. They did score twice against Chelsea, however. But I do think Andersen is a really good pick still, because it's a home to Brentford. Fulham are a really solid defensive team, and Andersen is really good at getting defensive contribution points on top of that. I mentioned Salah and Gakpo. Salah is currently my favorite captain just because he is like, I don't know, we're still waiting for Salah to explode, but I think he could still do it. I'm not writing him off at all. I know from Salah, like, he always finds a way to be FPL relevant, and he's going to do that again this season. I'm sure of it. So I'm still not ready to like give up on him entirely, but this is a final chance really to impress. Most likely, like most people, it seems like, are going to sell Salah now and bring in Haaland for Game Week 6, which is something that I have planned for since the start of the season, really. Before Game Week 1, I said that I was going to do that move in Game Week 6, and it seems like a lot of people are following the same plan now. But Everton at home is still a decent fixture for Salah. He's historically been good in this fixture, and it's going to be probably a high-scoring game because I think both teams will be really up for it. Kind of like the Newcastle game. Both teams will be super up for it, and it's going to be a fun, exciting game in general, I think. Palmer, really nice game for him. I don't think I mentioned that in the pros and cons, but like a lot of people have sold Palmer recently. He's a pretty lowly owned player currently, so he could be a really nice differential this game. We could even captain him or Joao Pedro. I think those guys are decent captaincy alternatives if you're not sold on Salah. So Palmer is someone that is a really nice player to have for this game week. Cody Gakpo has played 90 minutes every single game for Liverpool, and he is probably my favorite attacker outside of Salah. He's been pretty good this season, Gakpo, and can score from really any time. He is really good at going into the box or going right outside the box, really, and shooting. He has really nice shot with both feet, really. So Gakpo is someone that is a good asset to have. Semenyo is just in the form of his life, facing Newcastle, which is not the ideal fixture, but it's also Newcastle at home, like Newcastle not playing at St. James's Park, and also Newcastle after playing against Barcelona midweek. That's going to be a really tough fixture where Newcastle are going to be kind of exhausted from playing in that fixture. So I think Semenyo could get some points in this game week, and he's just been on fire. He seems to be on penalties with Kluivert still working his way back into fitness, so I like him quite a lot. Finally, a nice little differential guy here in Kevin. You probably haven't heard of him. Maybe you have a friend named Kevin, like I do, who's my co-host on the FPL School podcast. But this is not the same guy. This is a really tricky, really fun, skillful Brazilian. He played 15 minutes in his debut for Fulham this past game week. And I think it's just down to him just being new to the team. I think he's going to start most likely, but I'm not completely sure. So that's why I'm like slightly hesitant and why you should probably wait for the Friday team before you select him or not, or before I properly advise you to get him or not. But I think Brentford at home, really interesting fixture. Fulham are one of those teams that have a really good fixture in Game Week 5, but not the best after that. So Kevin makes sense for like a 1 week punt for a really fun player who's really fun to watch as well. Like he is going to be electric, I think, for FPL in general. He seems like a really nice and interesting player. So yeah, he's my punt in midfield here in the Free Hit Game Week 5 draft. Up front, we have Mateta and Joao Pedro. Mateta has his final good game for a while against West Ham. He usually does pretty well against West Ham. I know as a West Ham fan that he usually likes to score. He scored that was like one of the fixtures where he had that like famous, I think it was Game Week 29 or Game Week 33. It was like Game Week 33, I think, where they had, or Game Week 34, 2 seasons ago when he had the double game week, and he scored like 2 goals or a hat-trick even, close to, and had an assist against West Ham. Got a lot of points in that game week in 2 games. He can do it again against West Ham. So, even though I haven't really been as excited about Palace lately without Eze leaving and then also the injury to Ismail Assar, Mateta hasn't really been performing that well, but he has gotten chances in pretty much every game. He's just been a bit off his finishing, so I think he could get a haul against West Ham, as a lot of players have done this season, including Joao Pedro, who got 15 points against West Ham in Game Week 2. He has Man United, which is another team that you can target. He's just been so good in general. I have him as my vice captain, actually, because he's just been so consistently good, especially with headers. Really surprised to see Joao Pedro being that good in that regard. And he's also someone that you want to have just as a safeguard, because a lot of people have him currently. And Man United is probably one of the best fixtures to have currently in FPL, as they are in this array with Amorim facing the sack, really, for Chelsea. On the bench, I'm just going to really cheap players to fill in the rest of the squad, because I don't really have enough team value to have a more expensive squad. I mentioned the Rock already. Mukiele, the third the newly promoted team with a third like pretty good match. Mukiele has also gotten defensive contribution points in both games so far that he started. He looks really, really good. One of a lot of good signings from Sunderland this season. So they can keep a clean sheet against the only team that hasn't scored in the top 4 leagues in England, really, in Aston Villa. So he's actually a good player. You could potentially start him as well, but I just have him on the bench because Aston Villa just have, they have enough offensive firepower to score against Sunderland. We'll just see what happens in that game. Goodmanson also from Leeds. He did concede or score an own goal last game week, which was really clumsy. But apart from that, he's looked amazing so far. And Leeds have looked really solid defensively. So he could also be someone that you could start. I think Leeds are a team you can potentially target, but I don't really like any of their offensive players. And Goodmanson is like slightly less exciting to me than Van Dijk, Cucurella or Anderson, or even Mukiele for that matter. Muniz, finally, just like the best striker I could get for below 6 million. He's been starting for Fulham lately, so he could be a good option against Brentford at home, but I don't really trust his minutes that much with Raul Jimenez right around the corner and all that stuff, so he's just a final bench player to have just in case. But usually on a free hit, you would expect all players to play, or mostly, so third bench is never really going to be an issue with your team. Finally, a couple of other alternatives. You have the other team that have been like thought of for GW5 to be a good team, and that is Nottingham Forest, but they are just in like all kinds of like weird, I don't really know what to make of Nottingham Forest now with the manager change. They're really awkward start to the season. There are many new signings. Like, who knows if Chris Wood is even going to play that much. He didn't even play 60 minutes this past game week, and of course that is after being on international break with New Zealand, far away from England, so that could probably play into it. He probably plays more minutes next time around, probably 70 plus, but he has been subbed off in every game so far, I think, for Igor Jesus. They have a new striker there. I don't think Wood is like completely nailed when it comes to 90 minutes anymore, and that just hampers his ability to score goals in general. Also, Burnley have looked pretty good at home this season. They held Liverpool to a 0-0 until the 93rd minute, so against Nottingham Forest, who have struggled to score lately, I'm not quite sure. I'm not completely sold on Forest, but again, we'll have to see what happens with Nottingham Forest in Europe. Maybe they look a lot better now. Maybe Postecoglou will make his mark and make them really hum going forward, and that will make the free hit team change quite drastically, because if Nottingham Forest are looking good ahead of Burnley, that is a really nice game to target as well. You also have Milenkovic, who could score from a set piece. I think he's a really good player in general and someone that could get extra points for you guys. So he's also a good option in defense. But finally, midfielder Jeremy Pino had several good chances in both his games so far for Palace, especially this past game week without Sarr. I think he's sort of in the Sarr role and getting most of the chances for Palace, so you could actually go with him in midfield rather than one of the 5 midfielders that I do have, rather than Mateta. So ideally, like if I could have 6 midfielders, I probably would pick Pino over Mateta potentially. I'm not sure. I think Mateta has like a good track record against West Ham. That's why I'm kind of leaning more towards him. Pino is still new to the game, new to Palace. So Mateta is like the safer option, but Pino is kind of like the more exciting option if you want to go with him instead. Or you could double up. You could like really target West Ham. You think they're really, really bad. Could be the case. It is away from home, so yeah, not really sure with Palace having some injury issues, but Pino could be a really nice option. Even Kamada looked really lethal in this past game week, was close to scoring several times, but Robin Roofs had other ideas and saved every shot on target that they seem to have, really, Palace. So yeah, those are really all the players. That is my free hit alternative currently, or my free hit draft currently as it stands right now, but a lot of things will happen through the midweek with all the fixtures being played in all the different matches. So yeah, all the different tournaments is what I was trying to say there. Wait for Friday for my final free hit drafts. Also, when I'm going to talk about my own team. Also going to have like a proper, you're probably wondering where's the Wildcard draft. That's also coming as always on this YouTube channel. I make a weekly Wildcard drafts series here, where for every game week I do a new Wildcard draft and compare and contrast it to the game week before and the draft that I had for that game week. When it comes to wildcard. So I'll have a wildcard game week 5 draft, but like I said, not sure if this is the best game week to wildcard either. So yeah, you'll get that as well. So hopefully this video was informative. Hopefully this is something you would like to see every single game week, because I think it's more and more sort of viable to talk about chip strategy, because you have so many chips. You have double the chips this season, one for each, like one for the first half of the season and one set of chips for the second half of the season. So it's always going to be relevant. Back in the day, it used to be just like chips, just wait for the second half of the season. You don't really have to worry about it for the first before New Year's really. But now with 2 sets of chips, You really have to constantly think about it until you've used all of your chips, but people are going to use them at different times. Some people are going to save most of their chips for the end of the first half of the season. So I think videos about it will still be viable, but yeah, it's more interesting now, even though this is not the most interesting Game Week 4 a chip, in my opinion. I think Game Week 6 is better for wildcard especially. So yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video like I think I mentioned already. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.